Good evening and welcome. It's Friday, it's 8 o'clock, and that means it's time for Buster's Virtual Jazz Club, going out live on YouTube to infinity and beyond. Welcome everybody. I hope you've had a good week, and this is of course our very last show for the year with our guest, using our regular format. And I'd just like to say a big thank you to everybody that's tuned in over the last however many months it is, and especially a big thank you to all my Patreon subscribers and to everyone who makes a donation on PayPal. It means a lot and has been a massive help this year, so that's great. I also would like to announce that next week is Christmas Day, in case you didn't realise. Yes, that's right, next Friday is Christmas Day, and I will be doing a special Christmas show, but it won't be in the evening. It will be at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, and I won't have any special guests. It'll just be me, and I'll be playing some records and videos of some various bands that I've performed with, and just briefly talking a little bit about the music. It'll be a slightly condensed show, probably about 45 minutes, maybe an hour, and all the donations, all the money that comes in for that show will all be given to the homeless charity Shelter. So I hope you can join me next week on Christmas Day. And of course, you know, if the telly's not very good, then you know where to come. There won't be a show on the 1st of January, which is the following Friday, but I will be back after that on the 8th of January with a very special guest, John Paracelli, on guitar, fantastic British jazz guitarist. So do say hello if you're in the chat. Hi Peter, hi Sarah, nice to know you're there. So if anyone's listening, do pop a little comment in the chat box. It's nice to know you're out there. Also, all of the past shows are now up on my website, so if you do get fed up with what's on the telly, then do check those out. So, my guest this evening, ladies and gentlemen, he's a professional musician with over 50 years experience as a top studio session player, a live performer, a band leader, an author, and a professor of percussion at several of the top music institutions in the UK. He has performed with many of the UK's leading jazz musicians, as well as visiting American greats such as Dr. John, Charles McPherson, Barney Kessel, Tal Farlow, Al Gray, Clark Terry, Joe Newman and Art Farmer. And he has published 4 successful drum tutor books and currently holds teaching posts at the Royal Academy of Music in London, the Royal Northern College of Music and the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. In 2002, he was appointed the very prestigious title of an Honorary Associate of the Royal Academy of Music, and in 2007 he was awarded the position of Visiting Fellow at Salford University. In addition to this, he has been on the faculty of many summer schools, including our own original UK Jazz Summer School, hosted at the Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama. He also presents workshops and masterclasses throughout the UK, Europe and North and South America, and he has a reputation as one of the UK's foremost authorities on Latin American music, and he leads his own Latin American band Apitos, featuring world-class international players. And I would also like to add that he has been a massive influence on me personally as a drummer, a percussionist, a teacher and a lifelong student of music. His passion and dedication to all music is second to none, and I'm pleased to say he's here with us now, live on YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the very wonderful Mr. Dave Hassell. Hello, mate. How are you doing?
I'm fine.
Hello, Al Gray, Clark Terry. Joe We're getting a bit of echo after all that. I thought we'd sorted that out. Never mind.
We thought we sorted that out, yes. Can you hear me now?
I'm getting the rebound, Dave. I'm sorry, mate. We just did a sound check and it was fine. Do you want to put your headphones on? I think that'll solve it, yeah. Having said you don't need them, that's my fault. An honorary associate. So while you're doing that, I'll say hello to Laurie and Steve Clark and Caroline and Roger and Frank. Yeah, everybody's tuned in. Nice to see you guys. And welcome. Been on the faculty of many summer schools. Oh, there's the delay. There's a good sort of 20-second delay there. Most disconcerting.
Sorted that out.
Oh, sorry, mate. We did do a sound check and sorted this out. But I'm hopefully we can get. That's a great
start. This. Yeah. I can't hear you now.
2 drummers in a room.
Wonderful. And you dragged me away from Coronation Street for this. There we go.
Oh dear. How's that?
Yeah, I'm still getting the rebound.
Is that coming off the? Have you got the YouTube on? Turn the YouTube off. That's it. That's coming through YouTube. Turn your browser off, and then we should just be on Zoom. I think you've got.
Way.
That's it.
Yes. Welcome.
Yeah. After that big build-up, I should have also said technical wizardry, genius with the computers as well. Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. I like doing a real sound check. That wasn't it? That's
well, it's live, isn't it? It's live.
Yeah, well, that's what usually happens on a gig. Sounds great out here, guys. You start the gig and nobody can hear a thing.
Yeah.
So, as I say, I hope it's going to be a good next hour or so, because you've dragged me away from Coronation Street.
Well, I know that's very important.
It's getting very exciting.
Yeah. And I should say, of course, you're joining us live from. Well, it's not quite Manchester, is it? Where you at, Dave?
Well,
close enough. You're in the posh end,
Manchester, but it's Altrincham.
Altrincham,
yes.
Very nice.
Oh yes, the posh part of Manchester, if there's such a thing.
Well, I'm in Orpington, and that's a very posh part of London. They say the best bit is the bypass, which is the bit where I live on. So there you go. Well, look, thanks for joining us, mate, and thanks for giving up your time this evening. We do appreciate it, and it's fantastic to have you on the show. And it's been a great pleasure knowing you these years and hanging out as we do every year at summer school. And I just thought it'd be a great opportunity to really show. I mean, you've done so much; it's going to be impossible to give any kind of proper, dues to it, but we can just dip into a few things. I think it'd be nice to show some of the projects and interesting things that you've done.
Been around a long time, and hopefully much longer as well.
Well, you look well for it.
Yeah.
So, what I usually start with is starting with what you've been up to this year, because it's been a very funny year, obviously, and I know you do a lot of teaching, and I know you've been carrying that on online as well. But did you have any particular projects or events that got cancelled this year that maybe you're postponing to next year, or were you able to do any kind of online recording things, or what you've been up to?
Yeah, well, there's been quite a few online recordings. Did a nice little project with Russell Vandenberg, saxophone player. He's over in Spain. He sent me some stuff to work on.
Wow.
I've done stuff for Paul Kilmington, Olivia Moore. Olivia is a fantastic violin player. And I've been working with her band for the last year or so. And there was gigs for all these. And my own project, the Hydra project. Yep. Is we'll mention a bit later on. We had gigs in the book. Everything obviously has been pulled. So I've been stuck in Altrincham, in Timpley.
Working on your golf, haven't you, in the back garden? I saw you in the summer. You had a nice little 9-hole golf course set up in there. You'd gone around to a few little things on the lawn.
three sides of the property. We've got a nice lawn, so I had an 18-hole chip and putt. It was very sad, really. I must be getting really bored because I named all the holes after drummers.
Oh, really? Oh, wonderful. Yeah. What was the last one? Buddy Rich or something? Yeah.
No, Ayrton was the last one.
Ayrton, of course.
Baby Dodds was the first.
Oh, you did in my chronologically. Oh, of course.
Correct.
Yeah. Oh, correct. I should have known. Yeah. Fantastic. Wonderful. Yeah. And Hydra is quite an interesting project, isn't it? Where you've got some different musicians together. I've seen some things online of that you've been doing, and that looks very interesting. Kind of like combination of musicians that you got there on that one.
Well, the idea of the band was just that there's a nucleus of 3 players. There's myself, Andy Scott, and Nick Svark on guitar, and then the name Hydra came from it's the many arms, or it's the snakeheads, isn't it? It's Greek or something or other. We've added to it. We've done it as a 5-piece. We've done it as a 4-piece. The idea was whoever we invited in, then it would morph into whatever that was going to be. So it's not a sort of definitive set.
So the music presumably is quite experimental, is it? And it allows for like collaborations with different whoever's on. That's quite interesting because I've often talked about this in in this show with different musicians. And I think one of the things for me that really makes jazz, well, one of the things that makes jazz different is that like the person makes a lot of difference, doesn't it? It's like you don't just book a saxophone player, you book Andy Scott, or you book, and you know that when you put those ingredients together, that's going to hugely affect how the music comes out. So a different person in the rhythm section or a different front line, suddenly it's like a whole new sound, isn't it? And those ingredients, the personality is a massive ingredient in the music, isn't it?
Well, if Andy was not available to do it, or Nick, then I'd have to call it something else.
Right,
It's the chemistry between the three of us, which is really, really nice. It's very dangerous. Very dangerous. That's about what was the old saying? Never rehearse the danger out of music.
Very good.
So it's a great band, great musicians. Absolutely.
Somebody's just made a comment. Zach has said that he's been to see Hydra twice, and it's a killing trio. Thank you, Zach. Yeah, there are some clips on YouTube. Unfortunately, we're not going to play any tonight, but there's some stuff out there to check out. Yes, so I thought what I'd start with, Dave, if it's all right with you, is Apitos. We've got that's a project that's your band. You've led that band now for a long time, isn't it? And
1984, I think, was when we first formed the band.
Yeah. And there's a few incarnations of that, aren't there? I understand. But there's the core band as well.
The core band is generally an 11-piece or possibly a 12-piece. That varies depending whether they use vocals or not. And then we have one which is called Apitos the Big UN. That is a 19-piece band.
Wow.
We were very fortunate. We got some money off the Arts Council when they used to give out bursaries to people to arrange and get projects together, and that was the end of the 90s.
Right.
And it's performed quite a lot. I've got some great recordings of that band, and it was a tribute originally to a lot of the Tito Puente Palladium Days type of music. So it's an absolutely fantastic band.
And this is for music for dancing, isn't it? Presumably,
it's all dance music. It's whether it's 11-piece or whether it's the 19-piece. And then there's a small descarga unit, Apitos Pequeño, which is like either a 5 or 6-piece band, and that is a very, it just blows. We have the tunes. We don't play rehearsed arrangements. There aren't any written arrangements on that. And again, it's all the same rhythm section, and it's actually wonderful. So there's actually 3 different pads. Complete. I think I've got about 80-odd charts in the original one.
Well, I was just going to say, because you do. Although you're talking about the small group, there is more of a jam thing, but the large ensemble it's all
head arrangements.
Right, but the big band is it's the arrangements are very crucial, aren't they, to an ensemble like that? And that's where you've got
25 and 30 arrangements of that.
Yeah, and you've brought some to summer school. We've played them; they're fantastic, and I don't think perhaps people quite realise, the audience, how important that is to have a really great arrangement that's tailor made for that particular ensemble with that lineup of players, and it's not something that tends to get done so much these days, because as you say, the money it costs money, doesn't it, to get these things done, to do it properly.
Yeah, somebody's either got to be really keen to get it done and spend years getting a pad together. And I mean, Apitos came out to relieve the frustration of all the commercial work that we used to do.
Right. Yeah.
We needed something else to do apart from turning up at the BBC or Granada Studios or Strawberry Studios. And that's the way we got the band together. And I've always had a strong interest in Latin music. So
where did that come from actually? Well, was there a moment? Was there like a heard a record, or was it just sort of evolved into this sort of thing? Because you are a complete expert in this music, and a young lad from Manchester. So I can't imagine it's like that popular when you were at school. Latin.
No, the interest goes back to the 60s.
Right. So just being
I didn't know what I was listening to.
Right.
And then the 70s comes along, and there's a lot of fusion music. So I got heavily into all the hand percussion and congas and timbales and checares via fusion music.
Interesting.
And then
so that influence would have been Airto and things like that around that time. Airto and Alex Acuna.
Airto was the Brazilian. I'm thinking of bands even like, well, actually, if you listen to some of the Miles Davis recordings, when Airto was playing with him, so they were quite free. And Lee Ritner and bands like that. There was a sort of tinge of Latin American sort of things in there. And it got to the end of the 70s, and I really started to do a lot of research and met a lot of people. And it was 84 when I got together originally with a great saxophone player who's unfortunately no longer with us, Phil Chapman. And Phil was a wonderful arranger, and he produced the first arrangements for the band. Right. We sat down, and that it just grew from there. And we were very lucky that the Band on the Wall in Manchester, which is obviously a world-renowned sort of venue for music, there was a chap then called Ian Kroll who used to who's the manager and run the art side of it, and he gave us the opportunity to play the music. And we had a gig there once every fortnight.
Wow. Well, that'll get the band together, won't it?
Well, yeah. And then we started to do Monday nights, once a month, Latin workshops for the public. Right. Yeah. So that helped enormously. Yeah. And it kind of grew from there. Sometimes we were only one lesson ahead of the audience, I can tell you.
I'm sure you
were. But there were always fantastic players in the band. You know, the professionalism of the individuals was never in question. Yeah. And it was quite funny in the early days because it became to be known as the frontline players was "Where is the One" band, because they could never find the first beat of the bar in the early days because of the stylistic approach we would take. Yeah.
Well, it's challenging, isn't it? If you've not listened to a lot of that music, if you're not very familiar with it. I mean, you can have the notes there, but if you're not used to hearing those rhythms underneath it. Well, look, let's play a bit for everybody. Okay, so we've got a lovely clip here, and this is Apitos live at Band on the Wall, and this is from the opening night of the Manchester Jazz Festival in 2011. I've got here, and so we're going to play this little. It's a cha-cha, right?
It's actually a transcription of a Poncho Sanchez tune.
Fantastic. What's it called?
Mi Negra.
Right, Mi Negra. Here we go. Let's check this out, and then we'll come back after this. Wonderful. And that was Pitos live at the Band on the Wall in Manchester with my guest, Dave Hassell, leading the band from the Timbales there, band leader. And I think we'd give a shout out to a couple of lovely trumpet players trading on there. And that was Dale Gibson and John Hinch. Is that right, Dave?
Correct. Yeah. Absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. I was saying there's a particular sound, isn't it, on the trumpets in that Cuban style, and they sound great. Those guys, they've really got it. And I don't know, there's just something about the quality of the sound of when they play up high. It's got that real, zing to it.
Both Dale and John, they're meaty players. Particularly Dale is a fantastic lead player.
Yeah,
he's done all the big bands. He's so well, respected throughout the business.
And a guitar solo there from Bob Gill, who we're going to hear some more of in a bit. Lovely feel there. Great band. I mean, it's such great music, isn't it? It's just such fun to play, and it's nice to play music when everyone in the room is just enjoying it, and you're smiling and having a good time and making everybody feel good. It's wonderful.
It's wonderful to see the band as well, because the band's always laughing as well. It's not the sort of jazz where we put our head down and look really miserable and deep and meaningful. Everybody has a good laugh. Yeah. And nobody's afraid of making a mistake. It doesn't matter, because it keeps going forward. The music.
Well, it's about the spirit, isn't it? And the groove and that thing, and you can connect with people, can't you, with music like that? And it's such a sort of deep way. Well, so I just thought also we could talk now of people. Perhaps we should mention you were doing a hell of a lot of session work, and there's just not time in the rest of the show to list all your credits on there, but they're on your website if people want to have a look. I mean, it's amazing, Dave, all that commercial session work that you did and you were called for. And I think there's quite a discipline in that, isn't there? That perhaps people don't quite appreciate as well, that level of being there, doing that, and doing the job. And
there's a sort of session work that I was doing. I did an awful lot of TV. I was very fortunate. I did an incredible amount at Granada and the BBC and Yorkshire Television, all the various sort of big TV companies. You had to be able to read. It's one of these things. There was none of this. Let's rehearse it for 3 hours and then go and do the show. There was. I can think back many times. Stuff that you played was on the red light.
Live TV, yeah.
Live TV, yeah. I did the.
They don't even do that anymore, do they? There isn't any.
Well,
is there? I don't know.
Live TV, the BAFTA awards as well for 3 years, the BAFTA Craft Awards, and that, and they're counting you down. It's on. If you come in wrong, then you live with it, don't you? And it's just all the players who were involved in that type of work. They've all got serious playing skills. They're not, they're not sort of guys who send out CVs saying, "I'm a great player. Will you book me?" Because the old traditional way of getting into that sort of work was you went out and gigged. You went out to clubs every night. You had to be part of the musician community, and that's the best way of actually getting the message across, that you can actually do things.
And you build a reputation through just doing lots and lots and lots of gigs, don't you? Meeting lots of people and doing everything you can.
Well, so you're out all the time. And there was a time as well in the 70s where I was on the road for 6 or 7 years in the first dynasty of Tony Christie.
Tony Christie,
all that work, and it was an absolutely fantastic band. And doing that gig other people heard myself playing in those gigs, and you get invited to do other things as well. It's just that one gig leads to another. This key little points, and it opens up.
But I still think there's a mindset, isn't there, that all you guys have and that is required at that level to do. I mean, there's pressure, right? It's dealing with pressure and just being able to come, and you don't know what you're going to have to do when you turn up, and Yeah, so you gotta just and it's that, I think also the skill and expertise, but the breadth as well. I think that perhaps is not covered so much nowadays, maybe with what's required. And I think again another thing that strikes me with these pop bands that you would have been working with like in the '70s, it's all live, it's all real music, right? There's no track, there's no, like, so much is on track now as well, isn't there? And I think it
Yeah,
can mask a lot.
thinking back, yeah,
It's amazing.
you're behind ABBA, you're behind,
Yeah,
like Neil Sedaka. It's all that sort of
yeah,
era of players, but
yeah,
it was fantastic. It was just great playing, and
yeah,
it was, as you say, it's just concentration.
yeah,
But,
yeah,
but make sure that if anybody's puts themselves forward to try and do that, that they've got serious playing skills. And the one thing that I do try to get across to a lot of the students that I teach is the versatility, the width
yeah,
of it all. You talk about it, don't you, as
yeah,
well?
yeah.
No,
Mm.
yeah, can you play a groove? Can you play Latin? Can you play Brazilian? Can you play
Yeah.
North African? Can
And
you
sound authentic and sound like
and get
you
away
know what
with
you're
it?
doing.
Let's
Yeah.
say let's say get away with it, because sometimes we haven't had the opportunity because
Yeah.
different part of the world, but there's certain key things that you can get together
Yeah.
that gets you through
Sound, isn't
the
it? It's
gig.
sound
Yeah,
is the thing,
sound.
is it? It's got to sound right, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
Sound is everything. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So now at this, now with all this commercial work going on, you also at this in around that time formed this amazing group of free players in exploring some really incredible free music, free jazz, and it would have been around the time of the kind of fusion sort of weather report type things like this. And I'm talking, of course, about Both Hands Free, that
Both
group.
hands free. Yeah. The Both Hands Free has a very special place for me
Mm.
in the music that I played, and also the other three guys that we were involved with. We were working all the time together commercially, but this was something else. It's just one of those strange things. You kind of have an incredible empathy, both socially and musically, and it produces something. And the music that came out of that wasn't one of somebody does an arrangement and we all try and play it. It was just blowing.
Mm.
Started off just blowing in a room, and then eventually we said we'll do a gig, and it was like a pub gig, and we had a residency. Again, these residencies are absolutely key. We had a residency in Didsbury, a place called the Cavalcade, and that ran for several years, about 4
Yeah.
years.
That's where you get it together, isn't it? Just every week, just playing with the same guy.
It didn't matter where we were. It was Sunday, 12:30. If I'd have been working the night before in Newcastle, you drive back, you'd be ready to go at 12:30 the next day. It's
Yeah.
the life of a musician. It's not
Yeah.
just me. Everybody does that. And we actually produced an album. We didn't go out to sort of, we want to make an album. Somebody came and saw the band, Rick Kemp, who was with Steel Eyed Span, and he was absolutely blown away with what he was listening to. And he says, "Can I record you guys? Will you?" And so we just went into a studio near Hull, small studio, in a Sunday afternoon and a Monday morning, and we cut the full album.
Mm.
Now that album, it was limited pressings when we first did it. I think probably about 1,000 vinyl, obviously. However, we zap on to present day.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
I'm the only guy who's still around out of the band, unfortunately. That's the sad side of it.
Yeah.
But the music has lived on, so much so that it's actually been sampled.
Yeah. I know.
And we're in the thongs of legal.
When we say sampled, we mean illegally sampled.
Illegally sampled, and the names are on it. They're all out there in Young Thug and people, and there's one track that they've all picked up on.
Yeah.
So, and I think that created some other interest. And there's a magazine called Record Collector, which is based in London. It's a really good, and they've actually pressed another 500 special albums of it on special vinyl. So if anybody wants to sort of source the album, it is available through Record Collector.
Both Hands Free.
Both
on
hands
vinyl.
free, yeah.
Well, it's on YouTube as well, isn't it? Somebody put it up
Well,
there, and you've got a load of clicks on there as well, which you've not seen anything for, have you? But there we
yeah,
go.
it's about 100,000, just short of 100,000 so far.
Yeah.
Nobody knows where
So
it's
this group, these were the same guys that you'd be working with day in, day out.
doing
Incredible
jingles.
music, doing the jingles, the TV stuff, and you got together on your own time just to blow some steam off, I guess, but also explore some really quite experimental music. I mean, the full album it's really intense. It's amazing music.
It's good to listen. It's the classic vinyl.
You got to have a whole album, you got to go through.
Listen to the journey.
Yeah. But we've got this clip. We've took this clip, which is more the more kind of laid back sort of sections of the music, and this is the bit that got sampled, right? So I thought we could play a bit of that. And this is more kind of, it's very atmospheric kind of sound, and you're playing percussion and all your lovely percussion on there.
It's worth mentioning just before then that this band, we played opposite Stan Kenton.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we were the opening band.
But he liked it. He loved a bit of experimental stuff.
And there was a young drummer on the with Kent at the time, and young 19-year-old drummer, somebody called Pete Erskine.
Oh, yeah, fantastic.
And he was absolutely blown away with the band at the time.
Fantastic.
There's lots more stories with regard to that, but there we go.
So this is the clip, and it's called Phobos. Is that right? And you kindly supply some pictures here as well. And there's a few great. And there's one picture you've got of the band, which is from a press cutting, isn't it, of the time?
Yes.
So they can watch out for that. Also, look out for young Dave with Gene Krupa, and I think that's in there somewhere. So let's enjoy this. This is Both Hands Free. And that was Both Hands Free, just a little excerpt from the album there. And that was a track called Phobos, a nice atmospheric piece. And I don't think all the pictures cycle around there. Well, maybe we'll put some up on a link somewhere. But my guest this evening is the great Dave Hassell, and sharing some of his music with us. It's great, Dave. It's really lovely to chat to you on here, and I'm really enjoying it. I think what we're going to play next is something different. So this is the Bob Gill Quartet, which is just a clip from a live gig. You guys just playing some standards. You're on the kit. Lovely bit of brushes playing, I have to say. And, just a real swinging, lovely standards quartet. And again, that talking about that versatility as a musician, doing all that commercial work, reading, then you're playing all that free stuff, and then you're just sitting down and playing some nice standards as well. And again, that breadth at that level of artistry is really quite amazing, I have to say.
And Bob Gill is an amazing guitar player. He's an amazing character. You meet Bob, you never forget Bob. He's wonderful, but he's such a fluid player and beautiful sound, and can create incredible intensity at a low volume. It's an absolute joy to work with him.
And I didn't clock. Sorry.
As with the other two guys, Dave Linnane, the bass player,
legend,
who is we're known as the Ugly Brothers, partners in crime. We've done so much work together.
Yeah, I know.
And he is just an amazing upright bass player. And it's Richard Weatherall on piano. Richard plays really, really nice as well. Great player. There's some fantastic, I'm going to take this brief opportunity to sort of sing the praises of Northwest musicians, and particularly the Manchester scene.
Yeah, it's a big scene.
Some incredible players up there.
And I think, is that there's a bigger sort of club scene, isn't there? Where I think there's just the culture of live music maybe is a bit deeper or stronger. Do you think? I don't know. Do you think that's got anything to do with it, or it's just I don't know. Why is it?
I think it helps when it's not a city that London sprawls out forever, doesn't it? It's like any of the really big sort of places. Manchester, it's a little bit more contained in Manchester. So there's these little bars and people put things on. And Stockport is famous for the blues and things like that. There's some great blues players that came over, and Stockport's only 5 miles from the centre of Manchester. And there's a very, very creative and healthy scene. And with the colleges as well now, it's great that with the pop courses and the various courses there, they're breathing new life into the system as well. There's some
well, you need that, don't you? That's very important.
Great players coming through.
Yeah. There's no shortage of musicians, are there? I think that's the thing. It's just having somewhere to play is really important, isn't it? And keeping the venues going as well, of course, which this year's been very tough for, hasn't it? So a lot of great venues closing this year. Terrible when you see some of them very long established as well.
What I find is great with a lot of the younger players who are actually coming through, even if they can't get a gig at one of the established venues, they take it upon themselves to be proactive and generate a gig. They'll work at it. Whereas I suppose guys like myself now and Linnane, we're not that keen to go out there and start doing the hustling. We'll just go and play.
Oh, well, blimey, I think you've earned it, mate. Crikey, yeah. I know what you mean, though. Yeah, there is that sort of, and that's why it'll never die, will it? And I think to a certain extent, jazz has always had that. It's always had, we talked about it recently about how all the promoters that work for nothing and they're just enthusiasts and put on all these wonderful gigs for us to play at. And, if it wasn't for them, there wouldn't be hardly any gigs. I know. Anyway. So it is good to know that that's there, and that will always be there. I suppose that's the thing. So we're going to hear a bit of Bob Gill Quartet, and we should point out, of course, this is the same guitarist that started the show, did the solo in Apitos, so completely different sound again. Yeah. So here we go. Let's check out a bit of this. You guys just having some fun here with some standards, and it's just a short little clip from a live gig. Here we go. Enjoying the show. I just want to take a moment to tell you about a new way that you can help support me do this, and that is through patreon.com. That's right, I've got an account now, so the link's below here, patreon.com Buster Birch, and if you go along to there, you can now make donations by Visa credit card, so you don't have to use PayPal if you don't want to do that. And the advantage of Patreon is that once you do it once, it will automatically deduct on a per show basis. So instead of having to fill in the forms every week, if you want to make a regular donation, then that will just automatically deduct straight to your credit card each per show. And that is hugely helpful to me because it means I know that I've got a certain amount coming in every time I do a show, and that really helps me plan ahead and keeps the viable sustainability of the show going. There's two levels of sponsorship. There's my silver and gold membership. All of my Patreon supporters will get a big thank you personally from me live on the show, and the gold member sponsors will get an additional Spotify playlist which will be sent to you each week. It's something that I'm putting together. It's personally curated by me and will feature lots more albums by the guest artists each week. So it's a great opportunity to get to know this music much better. If you're really enjoying the show and you like the little tasters that you're hearing, that's a great way to get to know this music even more and enjoy in full comfort the full sound of the full albums. Thanks very much. Back to the show. That's it. Yes, and back to the show. A few comments in there. Loose Change says it still sounds great. Hassell, Close, Chapman and Glenn. And I believe that's another one of your projects, Dave. Is it Loose Change? And
yeah. Originally, I was with the band for about 6 months, and then Steve Gilbert, who plays with Apitos, he took over the drum chair. Fantastic. And he's still doing it 30 years later.
Brilliant. And of course, you've just Orly Niles have just said hello, Dad, and of course that must be You just said that's Laura. Hello, Laura. I've just got to say a special hello to Laura, and I hope you're doing well. I hear you. It's nice to hear you're doing so well from your dad, and he's very proud of you. I know.
Very much so, yes.
And
Great
yeah,
singer.
Great singer-songwriter.
We should have played actually a couple of her tracks that we
could have
played.
played some of Laura. I'm sorry, Laura. Yeah, we haven't got much time to fit it all in, but maybe another time.
Yes, yeah. Another day.
And yeah, lovely swinging quartet there, Dave, with those guys. I thought that was wonderful. That, and again, just the versatility, as we were saying, of just being able to slot into such a completely different style of music and play it with such expertise. It's really quite amazing.
But with that quartet, there's nobody trying to force it. It's the whole thing. If you get with the right people, as you were talking about early on, the right people in the band, then you don't have to think, am I swinging, am I pushing, am I pulling? It just happens.
Slots in.
The last thing you think about is the time. It just floats around. It's just beautiful feel to it.
And I guess that's why you end up playing with the same guys for such long periods of time, because it's just it's comfortable, right? It just works,
Yeah, you gravitate towards certain individuals, and if you can get them on the gig, you have them. It's the way of the world, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's the way to survive.
Well, look, we've got a couple of really interesting projects to fit in as well, and I want to go now to this particular project that you did again with Andy Scott, and it's really quite amazing. Well, do you want to tell us about this? Because I don't know quite how to explain it. It started off, am I right? They got some funding, and there's a percussionist involved in Mexico.
Yeah, well, the connection with the percussion player, his name is Evaristo Aguilar. He saw me doing something in the Paris Conservatoire with Andy for one of these percussion weekends, right. And he was actually presenting the music of Huasteca, which is that northern Tampico region of Mexico, and he was so taken by what we were doing and the way I was talking, and that he says, I want to study with you, and he ended up coming to Manchester for 2 years.
Wow.
And then he went back to Tampico. He's got a very, very good position at the university there now. He's a great musician himself. And we've been out there twice. And the second time we went to this very special gardens. Yeah. Which is like in the jungle.
It's nuts, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm just holding that for I don't know whether the punters can actually see that, but.
Well, there's some pictures on the video, actually, on the YouTube video.
Yeah.
Which we'll see.
We went on, if people are looking for a term to get some funding, we went on sonorous research.
This is what it was officially.
That was the official title, which came from the Mexican government, actually. Right. And we went up into these gardens that have been built by this eccentric Edward James, and these unbelievable. Well, they'll see them in a second. And they're right in the middle of the jungle. It is really an amazing place. And we spent 3 days at that part and staying at this very special hotel. Yeah. And then we went back to Tampico and we spent 3 days recording. And the music that was made was inspired by the images that we'd seen in the gardens.
So Edward James was an English. Was he a Dadaist? He was one of that from that scene.
He was actually an aristocrat. There's
descendant of some prince or something. Yeah. And
it was a little bit off the wall, shall we say? It was a very strange guy, and how he came to sort of live in that part of the world. He used to go on sort of trips as they did, And
this would have been about 100 years ago, right? It's between
it's about 1930s. I think.
Was it?
Yeah, it's this century. Yeah, 1900s. And he was sat down, and suddenly the sky went black, and then it started to open up again. It was just millions of blue butterflies just coming out of the ground. and
Wow.
he says, "This is where I want to live."
Right. And he had the means to do it. Yeah, yeah.
And he had the means to do it.
But he was an art collector as well. He was really
He was
into
an
art
art collector.
and a surrealist, wasn't he, as
Yeah,
well, that
yes,
whole
yeah,
movement.
yeah. And the
so-
people that used to visit, I think Dali had been out there, and all sorts of people.
Dali, yeah, I can see. Yeah.
So
And so he built this kind of like theme park, I guess, in the jungle of surreal artworks.
Artworks, yeah. I mean, these days, if you go there these days, they wouldn't allow you to walk around it these days if you was in the UK, because of, you know, it's falling down. Some of them go to 60, 80 foot. And it was just one.
And you invited out there, and so just to spend some time, get inspired, and then play some music together.
Sonorous research.
Fantastic. Well, I have to say, I mean, it is and then you created, and then off the back of that, you produced this album, right?
Yes, yeah.
Which is wonderful.
And also, it's worth mentioning that a photographer came out with it as well, and that's why which is a fantastic photographer from Manchester, Altingham area, William Ellis, who's very well known for his collection of jazz photographs.
Right.
Miles and everybody, you know, he's a serious professional photographer, and he came out with us as well.
Right. Well, let's hear a bit of this. So this is I think this is a show reel, isn't it? This is like little clips from some of the tracks. Is that right?
Yeah,
just a little sample.
After we'd been out there, we put the CD together. The following year, we just did a short tour. We did about 8 dates or so,
right,
in the UK, and this was to promote the tour. Okay,
got it. So this is a little selection of some of the tracks from the album, but the album is I can't say it. Go on. What's it called? How do you say it? We'll put the
Hilitla.
It starts with an X. It's spelled awkward.
X, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, right. Let's check this out. And this is Naked Footprints is the first track, and then it cuts into a few tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful, amazing. What an experience. And we were just talking there about, Dave, you were saying about how like that actual garden is really remote and in the jungle, isn't it? Like you have to travel up through.
Yeah, it was a journey of 4 hours, and you're climbing all the time. It's the coffee growing country of that region, and it is Hilitla is just a tiny little village, and Los Pozos is the gardens which is attached to it. And the great thing was when he actually built the gardens, he provided an incredible amount of employment.
I bet, yeah. But they were pleased to see
so
it.
They loved him.
Yeah, I bet, yeah.
And the gardens now is still run by something to do with some of the family of some of the people who sort of built everything. It's absolutely beautiful place.
You were just telling me, it was really, I thought it was just interesting to share. Like you were playing and sampling music, playing some of the statues and the metal, because some of them are metal kind of artworks and some of them are concrete. And then there's trees. You said you were playing a tree.
Yeah, I had the recorder with me and I sampled the bamboo tree because it was different notes. And I've got these rhythms and little melodies. Also in the hotel that he built, which is absolutely beautiful, there was half a rowing boat.
That's going to come in handy up there,
in the middle of the jungle up there, yeah. and we actually played that, Evaristo and myself, and we actually put some grooves down on that, and it just sounds amazing.
Wow, there we go. Well, that's what happens when you get two percussionists together in a hotel in the jungle. Yeah, wonderful.
Precisely, yeah. And playing the steel rods, which they put the concrete around, and they've all got different pitches. And I've got a sample where you can hear Andy in the distance just noodling around, and the waterfalls and these fast sort of rhythms going on. So it was just like school kids when we were there.
Wow, what an experience.
Fantastic, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what a great thing, and that's what arts money should be spent on, shouldn't it? I think like those exploratory things.
Actually, those gardens, there was a program on BBC, Gardens of the World, and only 3 weeks ago.
Not Monty Don, was it?
Monty Don, he visited the gardens.
Really? I was joking. Fantastic.
It was Monty Don. He went in, he couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And he says, I don't know whether I like it or hate it.
I was going to say, what a tidy it all up, wasn't he? Chop that down, yeah.
But it's worth sourcing that, checking that one out.
I'll have a look at that. Yeah, because I bet you can see all the gardens then.
Yeah,
well, there you go. Yeah, that's worth a look, isn't it? Well, look, the time's getting on, so we're just going to show... we've got another amazing project to talk about. Once again, a great collaboration with your musical partner, Andy Scott, who you've done a lot of great works with. And this is another project, a more recent project called Mancunity.
Yeah, it was Andy's project.
Right.
He was approached by the Manchester Jazz Festival to write a piece for the opening of the Jazz Festival. Not this year, but the last year. So
2019 Manchester Jazz Festival. So this is a very recent. That's a nice thing.
So we did the one gig, and then January this year we went in and we recorded it in the studio at the Royal Northern.
With the students, or was it the same band that did the gig?
Well, yeah, the band is a mixture. There's some professionals, but there's an awful lot of, the really good, some great players.
What a great experience for them as well.
It was just wonderful, and the way the studio was, and it was all played live. Everything was going down together, so it's great fun.
So again, the whole thing's up there on YouTube again, and what it is, we should perhaps explain is so Andy's composed. It's like composed like a 1 hour piece that's continuous.
Correct. Yeah, it's continuous. And it's also, again, the images that go behind it of Manchester, so the connection, Mancunity, it's an absolutely superb piece of work.
Yeah, well, what do they call this?
It was very difficult to play, I can tell you.
I bet, yeah.
Because Andy is a great composer in many respects. He does lots and lots of different things, and if there's a hard way of doing it, he'll find it for us just to make us sweat, you know. So I get my own back in the duo.
I see, right, yeah. But then there was a film production company involved, which is where we got these like montages of shots of the city,
correct,
crossed in with the live studio performance. So it was performed live all the way through in the studio and recorded in one go, like a concert almost in the studio.
When we did it at the Manchester Jazz Festival, it was fantastic because we were on a stage, I think it was St Anne's Square, and Andy had been doing some work with some other people, some education, and they came from the distance playing music.
Oh, wonderful.
When they got to the stage, they obviously they stopped.
Yeah.
And we kind of sort of
took over, yeah.
Took over.
Took the baton, yeah.
And I'm sort of guilty. It's the first time for many, many years. I can't remember. You'll appreciate this. I actually broke 3 drumsticks.
Wow, yeah, that's really sensitive.
Because the sound guy was laughing.
Was this this is outdoors?
Outside,
yeah. You end up, you got to wallop it. Yeah. Blood, sweat, and tears. Yeah.
More tears.
So what we've got here is, again, it's a condensed kind of show reel of the project to demonstrate, and it takes us through a few samples of some of the different tracks of it's kind of like a suite, isn't it? But it's not, but it's continuous. Normally in a suite you'd get like a little break. So it's a really interesting piece, and again, it must have taken a lot of concentration to be playing like that intensely for an hour like that. It's not easy.
Yeah, that's what you do, isn't it? That's what we do. Yeah, it's I know it's a bit, you know, you shrug it off, but that's what you train for, isn't it? And the whole piece, as you say, is on YouTube. You can see the full hour piece.
Yeah, and it's in high res as well. It's lovely. It's well worth checking out, folks. I'll put the link below, I think, as well. So this is the condensed version, and this is called Mancunity. Here we go. Yes, and that was just a little taster from Mancunity, and the full work is available to view on YouTube. I'll put a link below when the show's over and the it goes up to YouTube. And yeah, again, Dave. I mean, it's been this. Well, the time's run out. Unfortunately, we'll just play out with one more track from another project of yours. But I hope people can get a sense and just a taste of some of the great work you've done, and it really is amazing. And it's been a lot of fun, as I knew it would be. Just dipping into some of this really interesting work you've done. And I think one of the things that's always really amazed me about you, apart from the incredible level of musicianship and that passion that you have, is just that thing of just doing everything to that level, and this breadth that you have of your whole approach to music, I think is really really amazing, in that kind of pursuit of just reaching for things, and I guess pushing yourself.
It's not hard when you want to really do it. It's the passion. This is what I do. This is what I've done.
Yeah. It's who you are, isn't it? It's not what you do. It's who you are. Yeah.
And when it comes to sort of teaching, I try to get that across to students. I want you to be yourself. We'll show you. You've got to go away and take whatever it is that we're offering us, and then you really have to sort of mold that and build that into something. Yeah. And we've had a whole full lot of success. Some great players out there. There's some fantastic players out there, which I love. And other projects, I've done things with Charlton Country Club, Lauren Housley and Tom Dagan. That's all country stuff and serious blues stuff as well.
Well, we're going to hear a bit of that. We're going to hear a bit of that last. We've got Stevie Williams. We're going to play, which is again new and in a completely different set. I think this is. I've talked to a few musicians now about things like this, and I guess my final kind of question is like. And I think I know the answer because I know you, but perhaps for the audience it might be interesting. Like, when you're working in such a different scenario, what are you thinking of? Do you think of it all as, is it all the same, or is it when you're in this? When you're in this scenario, do you find that it pulls something else out of you when you're in that? I mean, I know that you're very true to whatever it is you do. I think that's what really strikes me about your playing. Whatever you play, it's very, very authentic, but it's still you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, and it's well, you can be creative and follow instructions, still be yourself, and it's just the music. Whenever I sit down and play, I'm not really interested in what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm actually interested with making the band sound as the best it can. Yeah. Even if it's, say, a band which is not the best in the world, thoughts go through your brain. Well, how can I try and make this sound a bit better? Yeah. It's giving yourself to the music and the drumming. I can do the drumming. Yeah. It's just understanding the music. And if you're doing bebop gigs and things like that, you've got to know the songs. You've got to know the repertoire. Yeah. If you're doing a reggae band, it's no good saying I've got a reggae drum beat. You've got to know those tunes. You've got to know the songs. It's the same with Africa. So, and if you don't know them, then do your homework. Prepare. Everything is in preparation. Yeah. And if you don't prepare, you're going to get caught out. But it's just work, and the actual preparation. I love preparation because.
Well, I was just going to say, there's that passion, that curiosity, isn't there? Of like, because every time I see you, you're always like, "Here, have you heard this? Have you heard that?" And you're always showing me new things. It's like new stuff as well, not just old stuff. It's like you've just had this incredible curiosity about the music, and it's never ever been any different as long as I've known you, which is quite a while now. And like you've always got that, like you're always checking stuff out. Like it's amazing.
Well, you don't stop, do you? It's there's no end to it. There's no end to the sort of the pursuit, is there? There isn't a destination. There isn't a coda. You just keep going until you can't go any longer. And it's the same with a lot of the thoughts I have about teaching and that. I write such a lot down. When I say write it down, I just scribble notes. I've got a shelf over in my right hand side. It's full of notes. of little things I thought about.
Well, you ring bound a whole stack of them, didn't you? And made a very small.
Well,
you gave me one. I've got it's this. It's in my drum.
Well, there's another
room.
one as well.
Yeah.
And during the lockdown, I've got a folder there about that thick of stuff which I've actually done during the lockdown.
Yeah.
So it's you just carry on doing it. I'm very fortunate. I'm in a position here where I can actually do it. I've got the facilities. We just enjoy life, don't we? You know.
Well, it's been a great pleasure. And well, look, before we finish, let's just briefly mention a little bit about this. So this is another project that we're going to play now, and this is a current project. This is something we've been doing for a little while, but it's still going on. Stevie Williams band, and this is like a country kind of. How do you describe this music? It's original music, right?
Oh yes, Stevie.
But it's got
gigs. We do covers, but Stevie's a great writer.
Yeah.
He's the bass player and the singer. It's his baby, so to speak.
Yeah.
But it's Stevie Williams and the Most Wanted band.
Yeah, great. I love it.
And the Most Wanted band, it's like myself. There's Clyde Mellor, great harmonica player, Billy Buckley, and Mark on guitar as well. And it's a great team. Mark Creswell on guitar. It's a great team of players, and it's just
got that kind of blues, kind of like down home kind of stuff. But again, to me, you see, what strikes me is that authenticity that you all have about the sound. Like everybody, like all the musicians are great musicians. Everybody's got like sound. The sound is just so great, you know.
And that's the thing that gets mentioned when we're on gigs as well. People say the sound of the band. It's not the sound of the bass or the sound of the vocal. The sound of the band is really good. And it can play at treble P or quadruple F if you want. It'll do that. So
and it has that feel, doesn't it? That soul. It's got to have that soulfulness to it.
Yeah. And there's some outrageous guitar solos by Marky and Billy Buckley. You wind Billy up and he's an amazing player.
Well, we're going to finish on that.
Pitos as well now.
He's playing with that Pitos as well.
He played the gig early on this year. The last gig actually did this last February.
This is it. Well, I think a lot of the audiences, they don't realise, you know, how when they hear someone play something great, they don't realise they'll just go and do the next night. They could be doing something completely different. And I think, again, that's one of the things I like about this show is we can show those sort of that range. Whereas you wouldn't get that if you went to one gig. If people came to a Pitos, they wouldn't necessarily dream that you're the player from Stevie Williams band. It's people tend to pigeonhole. I mean, it's understandable, really, isn't it? Why would they think that? But it's nice to see that.
It's just one other player I want to mention because I've done such a lot of work and there wasn't enough time. And that's Munch Manchin.
Oh yeah.
Manchester. I know we haven't got time to play, but what an incredible tenor player he is.
Yeah.
And I've got some absolutely wonderful recordings, and I love it when I get together with Munch in the same way as Andy. You know, they're just different players. It's not one's better than the other. They're just very different players. Yeah. And both of them are amazingly inspiring.
But you connect on that level with them. Yeah. Okay, well, look, I think we have to wrap it up there. So, once again, thanks, mate. It's been really great having you on. I knew it would be. And as always, you're a very inspiring person and musician. And I want to say a big thank you to everyone who's checked in live. Thanks for all your comments. Bert says that the link to Mancunity is great. Frank Garrett's in. He says, hello, Dave.
Frank, yeah.
And Zach O'Connor Quo as well. So
student from RNCM, very good player. He's left now. Great player.
Fantastic. Well, great to see all you guys on here. And thanks again. A big thank you to everyone who's tuned in and supported the show. We've been going live now every week in this incarnation since September, and then prior to that. And cheers, Dave. Yeah, I've got something waiting for me. I've just I don't know. It's my first drop of drink for 3.5 months this week, so I'm actually in Christmas mode a bit more now. So I've got something waiting for me after the show. And and so don't forget, folks, next week is Christmas Day. I'll be doing a very short little show, about 45 minutes, starting at 4:00. Okay, so after the Queen's speech, I shall address the nation myself. And and hopefully that will tie in quite nicely with that point where you've either had your Christmas dinner or you haven't had it yet and you're sitting around a bit fed up. And so do join me. I'll be playing some tracks, and all the donations next week will all go to 100% will all go to the homeless charity Shelter. And if you are a Patreon supporter, I won't be billing you for next week's show because it's not part of the regular agreement. So if you want to make a donation, then you can do that separately as well. Maybe just go to Shelter and put a donation in there. That'd be great. So once again, thanks very much. Cheers, Dave. It's been lovely. It's always a pleasure to spend time with you, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks, everyone. And we're going to leave you with this track, which is called Trinidad Trilby. And this is from Stevie Williams and the Most Wanted Band, and featuring my guest for tonight, Dave Hassell, on the percussion and drums. Thank you. Take care of yourselves. Good night. Bye, everyone.
I got my Trinidad Trilby on my head. Watch a black and white movie when I go to bed. Don't sleep at night. I got no appetite. Somebody knocking on my door, but I just ignore. Telephone ring and the message ping. Stop knocking on my door, and don't you call me no more. And oh, look what you done to me. You gone broke all my dreams, falling apart at the seams. I got cooking all from head to toe. Now it turned to a golden glow. She got no shoes on her feet, play the tambourine. Guitar in the car and she's under the stars, and she call out my name. Baby, come and play. Sit tight, where you going? Drinks start flowing. She's dancing through the air like she just don't care. I say, take me there anyway. Now I'm there, I wanna play. And oh, 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 look what you done to me. You gone broke all my dreams, falling apart at the seams. And oh, look what you're doing to me. You gone broke all my dreams, falling apart at the seams. I got cooking all from head to toe. Now it turned to a golden glow. And oh, look what you done to me. You gone and broke all my dreams, falling apart at the seams. And oh, 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 look what you're doing to me. You gone and broke all my dreams, I'm falling apart at the seams. I got cooking all from head to toe. Now it turned to a golden glow. I got my Trinidad Trilby on my head. When I go to bed, I keep my Trinidad on my head. Oh, my Trinidad Trilby, my Trinidad Trilby. I got my Trinidad Trilby on my head. When I go to bed, I keep my Trinidad on my head. Hey, my Trinidad Trilby. Say my Trinidad Trilby on my head. On my head. On my head. On my head. On my head.